Demonstration of creating a private lab repository for this proofs and programs course based on this repository. But since I want to demonstrate for a repository not owned by me, I'll instead use the code Silene as if it was the course repository and create a repository which is private and a copy of this. So first go to your GitHub account, here I am, and create a new repository. Here's a new repository. Importantly, mark it as private, and the repository name I will give as Silene Lab because I want to reserve Silene for an actual fork of Silene here. I can give a description here, lab assignments. You could say for the course, that doesn't affect it. But importantly, do not add readme or git ignore or a license because we want to create an empty repository. The description is fine. Everything else should be empty. Okay, so let's create the repository. This is our first step. Okay, but now the trick is that you can import the code from the master repository. You will be doing it from this. I will be doing it instead from Silene. So I copied the URL here and go to import code. Enter the repository. This is importing from Git itself. It's allowed to switch version control system. So that's pretty fast. So note that the whole commit history and so on is going to come here. And with this, it'll take a few more seconds perhaps. Okay. Oh, it says it's ready. Okay, so let's go to the repository. It's ready. In fact, it's actually ready with, you can ignore this part here. I do not see where the commits are. 485 commits. So all the commits are there with this history. And so now what remains is to make, so this is a private repository. It has the code as of now of Silene. Two steps remain. One is to make a private copy of, to make a local copy of this. And the second is going to be that we want to keep this in sync with the Silene in my case, or in your case with the proofs repository. So we will have to, it decided to go there for some reason. Okay, we will have to look at the repository. We'll have to set an upstream link to the other repository. We'll do both these steps now. Okay, so firstly, let's copy the link to this repository, and I'm going to be in a folder called Scratch, and I'll clone this. Okay. So at this point, it needs my username. It also needs a password. Now this password is not actually the password but a GitHub token. So I have to get it from another place. So I will just get that in a moment. Okay, so I got the token and entered it, and it has made a clone here. And if I go to Silene Lab, I have this copy here. I should mention both these steps I'm doing on the command line. You can do it in Git Bash if you're in Windows. Alternatively, you can use VS Code for these, or you can also use something like GitHub for desktops, a Git client. There are many ways you can accomplish these two steps. Whatever Git workflow works for you. Okay, so here I am. I have this clone. I can look at it. The problem is that this is only a clone of my private one. I cannot as of now update this when the Silene upstairs gets updated. So to do that, what I'll do is copy again the repository of this. So maybe I could just go here and say copy, and I'm going to add a remote add upstream this way. So now I can see that I have two remotes. As I said, you can do it with clients. I have my own private repository, and I also have an upstream repository. Okay. By the way, I will recommend one thing because this is a private, we'll come to that in a moment. So this is the upstream repository. So I can pull upstream main. I can pull the main branch. maybe this calls it master. In the course repository, it's called main. So it pulled it and said it's up to date. Okay, so you can pull now from the upstream. So in my course, whenever I update, create a new lab or create no code, you can git pull upstream main and get the code up to date in sync with what it is in the code in the master repository. Okay. Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can ask these on Zulip. So one tip here, that if I'm trying to do git push, okay, no problem. It's everything up to date. It knows that. Oh, it already knows it's up to date. So that doesn't seem to matter. But sometimes what happens is that every time you update, it will ask you for a password. So to avoid that, you can do the following. You can say git config credential dot helper store. Then it will forever remember your password within this repository. So that will save you having to re-enter the GitHub token every time you pull or push up to Git. I probably have this as a global setting, so it did not require it now.